Hello and welcome to the profile segment of The Mirror. If you follow us on our social media platforms, which is Instagram and Facebook, you'd have realized that from 1st of October, we launched a campaign that we call #Securing the Boobs. It's a breast cancer awareness campaign that we are spearheading throughout the month of October. We are joining the world to paint everywhere pink in raising an awareness about breast cancer, the importance of screening, and what to do, some of the preventive measures. So today we are happy to talk to someone who has been through it, who is relatively younger. When in the past, when you talk about breast cancer survivors, you would think about someone who is old, because most of the campaigns were saying make sure you screen or you check for breast cancer after 40. But we realized that there are younger people who've had it, and we are excited that someone who is young is ready to share her experience so that we really see the importance of screening. Hello, Gina.
Hi, Ifya.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
So when I spoke to you on phone, I was, I didn't know your age then, so I thought, okay, I'm getting a younger person. But when you just mentioned your age, for the sake of viewers, how old are you now currently?
I'm 35 years now.
35?
Yes, please.
Are you newly diagnosed? Are you going through treatment? Have you ended treatment? What is your state now?
Okay, so medically they say I'm in remission. That means I'm not on any active treatment. I ended my active treatment in 2019. So between the time I detected the lump, which was in 2017 till now.
How old were you then?
I was 30 years then.
You were 30, like flat?
Yes, so it means I've survived the disease since detection 5 years now.
Wow. 30 years.
Yes, yes.
Was it at a screening? You mentioned detecting the lump. How did you find out that you had breast cancer?
I was 30 years. Obviously, I wasn't, I never had any plan of fighting for my life against a deadly disease like breast cancer. I've heard of breast cancer, but to be very honest with you, I never paid attention to it. Okay, and so when the lump, was in my breast, I never knew there was anything there.
At what stage did you feel the lump?
Fortunately for me, my symptom, which was a lump, was a painful one.
Okay.
Under normal circumstances, early stage breast cancer lumps don't pain; they are not painful. But mine was a painful one. So I believe that it was the pain that drew my attention, that there was something going on wrong in the breast there. So it was a pain that made me felt it, massage, and realize that no, there is an unusual lump there, because that lump was not in my left breast.
So which of your breasts?
So my right
your
breast.
Right breast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was how I knew there was something going on there.
Yeah.
But then I was supposed to quickly report to a hospital, but ignorantly, I didn't.
Okay. So when you found out that there was a lump, what did you do?
I stayed home for 3 months, massaging it with all kinds of things.
So sometimes we all do home medication in most things, like most of us see things and we decide to do. What were you thinking when you were doing the massage? Like, was it massaging with warm water or shea butter? What were you thinking?
Shea butter, ointment, holy waters.
I'm sure you may
oils.
Oils.
Yeah. It got to, then I had just weaned my baby.
Okay.
I had a baby then, 2 years. He was almost 2 years, so I had just weaned him. So I was so sure that it could be
post, sometimes maybe
exactly
post breastfeeding.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it never occurred to me that it could be breast cancer. That is why I said I was fortunate that mine was a painful kind of lump. Otherwise, I would have missed it because I was not breast aware. I had never done self-breast examination at any point in my life before. And as you said, even if I had heard of breast cancer, maybe I didn't pay attention because I thought it was for people who were
older
very
women,
old. So,
yes.
It wasn't that close to me.
Wow. So did you talk to, like we are in a community, when you feel, oh, there's an unusual pain in my breast, did you ask people and then they said, oh, maybe try oil, or you decided to use those oils yourself?
Because I didn't consider it to be anything so serious. In the initial stages, I was just managing it myself.
Okay.
And then when I realized that a month had passed
The pain
The
was
pain
still
was
there.
still there. It
2
was growing
months.
bigger.
Okay, it was the lump, you could feel the lump growing in size.
It's in size, yeah. And the pain was getting unbearable, I mean, as the days were going by. So it was then that I started talking to friends that, oh, I have this unusual lump. And nobody, I can't remember anybody telling me, oh, Gina, maybe go to the hospital. It could be.
I'm sure it was the last thing on everybody's
mind. It's the last thing anybody, and everybody knew I had just win. So that was what, just as I had thought.
People would say maybe
was
it's
like,
pain post
breastfeeding. Exactly. And so after 3 months, I realized, no, the pain was becoming just unbearable to the extent I couldn't even wear a bra. And you could see the lump without even feeling it. You could see that the breast was getting deformed. It was getting swollen. So that was when I decided to rush to the hospital.
So when you went to the hospital, you went through tests, and then what was which hospital, if you don't mind?
Well, there is this private clinic within my vicinity, my residence. So I just went there with my husband, and he did the physical examination, and then he requested for an ultrasound scan. It was done within the facility, but it came out benign. He said there was nothing to be worried about. He's surprised. He indicated that he's surprised that looking at the nature of the lump and then what the scan was saying, he doesn't understand. But then he did it. He repeated the test several.
And it just kept saying.
It kept saying the same thing, that it was nothing. So he actually prescribed some antibiotics for me to take over 7 days. And then he said something when I was going, that I should keep observing the breast for further changes, including change in color, discharge, and then if there was any sign of sore. So I was wondering, what is he suspecting that he's not saying? Because I could see from his facial expression that
he wasn't
so okay with the report. And so I decided to Google indication for lump in breast, and breast cancer popped up. So that was the awakening moment for me, that, hey, this could be breast cancer. So I looked at the diagnostic text that could tell if it was breast cancer. So then I've done the ultrasound already. So I told my husband I wanted to seek a second opinion. So we went to a different facility, this time a government hospital. I got in there, I just told the doctor that I'm 30 years, I have this painful lump in my breast for like 3 months, and I suspect I have breast cancer. That was what I said. So I begged him, any available test that beyond the ultrasound scan.
Because you've done the ultrasound scan.
It is not saying anything. Because when I was reading, I knew that as deadly as it was, if it is detected in time, I could live beyond it.
So did you know, when you told the doctor point blank that you have a lump and you are suspecting breast cancer, was it because you knew someone in your family who had breast cancer? Or?
No, but then I just realized that a lump in a breast, an unusual lump in a breast, could be deadly. So I wasn't going to, tell the doctor that I just went straight forward. I've never heard that there was any family history. Okay, but then I panicked. I knew that no, this could be something that could cost my life. So I just tied my mind up to go all out.
So at what stage finally did they confirm that?
So that particular doctor said, no, painful lump, 30 years, I was too young, breast cancer, early stage, is not painful, so he ruled it out. I actually requested for further investigation, but he said no. So I went to a tech doctor, and then he said he was a gynecologist, but not a specialist in breast, so he referred me to a different doctor at Ridge, Dr. Chumesi. So I met Dr. Chumesi, and at that moment, I was just scared. I was really, really scared, because not knowing what it was, and the antibiotics I was given earlier hadn't done, and there was no change, and I was really, really afraid. So, I expressed my concern to Dr. Chumesi, and he asked that I do a complementary ultrasound and then mammogram. I had that done. He told me that sometimes the machines, depending on where the facility you are doing the thing, it could give false reports and all that. So he actually directed me to a particular facility
where you could get accurate results.
So I went there, and then of course they said for mammogram it wasn't so ideal for women my age. But then because of the previous report, he wanted to do together so that he could compare the results. So indeed, the mammogram didn't pick anything, but the ultrasound did.
This time the ultrasound
It did pick some signs of cancer, so it recommended that I do further investigation, biopsy.
Okay.
Okay, so the biopsy was recommended and I had it done immediately. And the result came, it was benign, it wasn't cancer.
Okay, what's the difference?
So if it's not cancer, then it means it's non-cancerous, it's something else that could just be treated or left to maybe resolve by itself. Okay, depending on what exactly it was. So I must say that the waiting period, anytime you go for such text and you are waiting for the sleepless night.
Because you'll be wondering what could come out.
What could come out, though you are praying and hoping that it wouldn't be. So indeed, this one came, and I was so much counting on that report because I'm not a medical person, but then I had been reading and asking questions here and there. So I knew that at least the biopsy could give a very reliable report. So I relaxed, and he said he could not leave the lump in there. It said hyperplasia, something like that. He said it was a sign of cells multiplying, but then it wasn't cancer. That was what he explained it to me in layman terms. So he asked that I come and then he will get the lump removed. I was waiting for the time he gave me, but 3 days after I left him, he called me back that he doesn't know why, but he's not comfortable with the initial report I brought. So he would like to repeat it. I said, Doctor, why? He said, per his experience, over the years, what he has seen, what he has felt, and what the report is saying, I'm too young for him to just let me go, without him being sure, like very, very sure. So a second opinion should do. It's a very painful thing because the lump was already pain. There was already pain in there. So the biopsy is like a special needle into the lump, and then pieces of it will be picked.
Wow,
to be sent to the pathologist.
Inject the breast,
sort of,
and then pick.
Exactly, like pieces of the lump will be picked, and it's quite painful. And so I was like, this pain, but he encouraged me that it was in my best interest. So I went for the second one, and then this time he said we should send it to a different facility. So we sent it to a different facility, and praying, hoping that it will come out and it will be just like the former one. And it came out, it was cancer.
Wow. So imagine if you hadn't followed up, because your journey to knowing that you had cancer was some way. The first place the ultrasound said it was okay. Now someone says no, a third doctor says the ultrasound picked something, and now the biopsy says no.
Yeah.
Wow. So I can imagine if you hadn't done like follow-ups, what would have happened?
Exactly, yeah.
Between the time that you felt the lump and the time that you were diagnosed, like the final biopsy came, how long?
Like 6 months.
So how had it grown? I know that cancer spreads the longer it's on you. How deep had it gone? So
fortunately for me, as when the first biopsy came, it indicated DCIS. DCIS is early stage breast cancer, and so that gave me a little hope. Okay, I asked if it had spread, and he said he can't tell unless I did other investigation like abdominal scan, maybe CT scan and those things. But then he was very certain that it had not spread, because of the kind of cancer that was in the report. But then I had to still there should be a form of surgery. So he opted for, he discussed it with me, and I agreed with him that we'll conserve the breast.
What do you say conserve the breast?
Conserve the breast. The options were he would take the lump with portion of the breast. Okay, and I passed for that because where the lump was, and then the size of my breast was big enough for him to take the lump and the portion.
So if it was small, it means that
he would have taken. He'll be left with no option but to take the whole breast. Okay, because if what will be left wouldn't be, it will not even look like or feel like breast, then there's no point. Okay, so he'd had that discussion with me, and we opted for the breast conservation. It was sent back to the labs again. The pathologist looked into it, and it came back that it was not just the BCIS, but there was another kind of cancer that the biopsy couldn't pick. Yeah, so this one is choroid carcinoma. Sorry. That is it's invasive, it can spread, but it is not aggressive. So that also gave me a little hope. But looking at the unexpected outcome of my case, he said, no, Gina, pack your things, I'm referring you to Kolebu. And I must say that I didn't agree to do that surgery immediately. When I met him and he counseled me, told me what to expect and all that, I told him I wasn't going to do the surgery because he mentioned possible surgery. Depending on what the report will say, if it's cancer, I'll do a surgery. I might do chemo. I might do radiotherapy. Oh, he mentioned the thing and he tried to paint the pictures for me. And I'm like, no, this doesn't sound friendly. So I'm like, doc, I'll opt for alternative treatment. Just like you are looking at me. That was it. He just like, I said, Gina, are you so sure? I said, yes. It was like, do you know someone who has done it that, I mean, is doing well? I said, no. But I think that sounds better, like
but what kind of alternative treatment, like maybe?
So I know of one man who has been talking on radio about diet, like food, could use food to reverse cancer and all those. So I said, that sounds more friendly. So if I could just eat well and then this will get resolved, it's better than all these invasive procedures that he's talking about. Then he said, Gina, now I'm looking at you. I'll say, like, consider me like a big brother. Okay, forget I'm a doctor and take this from me. Then he pulled out a picture. Then he said, this is when the person came and was diagnosed. And this is when the person opted for alternative. And when she came back, the breast, I mean, had just gone bad. It was accelerated very, very bad. So that was when I changed my mind. I didn't ask for that. I said, doc,
for someone with a young, because you said you had just finished weaning.
Yeah.
So your child was like 2?
Yeah.
And now you are starting a breast cancer journey. Was that your first child or you had?
No, my 4th.
You had, wow. So how do you are a mother, like you are a wife. How did you take it? How did they affect whom?
In different ways. And it wasn't easy. I mean, the day I got to know it was cancer. Cancer, we all know, is synonymous to death. Okay, so I just felt I was going to die. I believed that was my end. And looking at my children, the youngest was 4, the eldest was 9, and the thought of leaving them, dying, and I mean the journey alone. How am I even going to manage going through the journey? And all those things were of concern, and it did affect me because imagine when I had my chemo and I was so weak and my baby just wanted to be in my arms and I didn't have the energy.
Wow.
I had surgery and there's so much pain here and this baby just, I mean, wow. It was difficult. And even with the chemotherapy, I suffered loss of libido, extreme dryness out there. I suffered depression, so I mean, my husband had to pay for it. And if you don't have a supportive family or people around you, it could get very, very...
So let's go through your treatment process, like the full journey.
Okay.
Now that they know it's cancer, you've agreed that you go through the process. How did it start and between what period? How was your journey like? Okay,
so after the lumpectomy, that's when the breast was, the breast conservation surgery was done, I was referred to Kolebu.
What year was the...
That was 2018.
Okay.
So the lump was detected in 2017, but it was until 2018, June, July thereabout, that I had the lumpectomy. Okay, then I was referred to Kolebu, but then I was only able to get to see the oncologist in September.
Wow. So
between that period, waiting period, the conserved breast started discharging blood. Wow. I observed a bloody discharge. So I told the surgeon, and he said, I mean, at this point, the oncologists were the best people to look into my case, so I should wait patiently for my turn. So they also took action quickly, and had me do another ultrasound, but it didn't show any sign of cancer. So I was asked to proceed with the chemotherapy. So I had 6 cycles of chemotherapy that lasted for like 5 to 6 months.
So within like in a month you do one, was that?
Yeah, every 3 weeks. But I wasn't able to do my own continuously after 3 weeks like that, because my system usually breaks down. There's this component in the blood system that they call is a neutrophil.
Okay.
So it breaks down, and if it's very low, you can't do it. So I had to be put on another intervention. It's an injection, Neupogen, for 3 days to boost that particular component up before I could.
So it means it delayed.
It delayed my it delayed, and so after the chemotherapy, they kept observing for positive changes, and they realized that the chemo had done its work, but then they still had to do further investigation to see why the discharge was still happening. It stopped, but then they hoped that it will stop, like
it won't come.
Okay, so I was supposed to continue my treatment with radiotherapy. That was my initial plan. So after chemo, then I'll do radiotherapy. But looking at how the discharge was coming and going, they decided I do a biopsy. That is a cytology of the discharge. So, the blood sample will be taken back to the pathologist for them to look into it. So that was done. The same day, they gave me 2 requests to do a CT scan and then that cytology. So at different facilities, the result came and there was still a sign of cancer in there. So at that moment, I had to do an immediate mastectomy, that is total removal of the breast.
That was done at Kolibu?
At Kolibu.
So I know the journey won't be easy, because like being a mother, going through all of this, and then now you thought it was just half of it that you were taking of it. Now they are saying that it's still cancer, so they have to take. How was that period like for you?
It was very difficult for me. I remember I went home and I couldn't break the news to my family because I had already done like 7 surgeries already, not for breast, 6 for other medical conditions, and then 1 for the breast, and then this one again. And I at that moment I felt I did not even have strength to go back into any theater again. Okay, and I stayed for like 3 days. I could not sleep. I was not even feeling hungry. How to even muster courage to even break the news to my family was a problem, because I know it will come as a big blow for them, because going to theater like every year in and out had been very devastating for everybody around me. Okay, and this had always been for life-threatening conditions.
And then now this one.
And now again, when we all thought, no, I was getting to the end, it was very difficult. And I was thinking, how am I going to cope through all this pain with my children? Because it will interest you. Sometimes my husband is there. I had some 2 other people who are around that could even help my kids with their homework, but they just want me to help.
Mommy they want.
Mommy. And I tried to appear strong, so they could not really tell that I was going through something very difficult. So it was very difficult. And
your oldest is 9.
9.
So if she didn't really pay attention, I'm not sure. Did she know?
For her, I sat them down and I communicated to them, because then I was fostering 1 other boy. So I have 6 children, 2 I'm fostering, 4 biological. So one of my foster children lost the dad to cancer, cancer of the neck. So the mention of cancer, it brought fear. Yeah. And I know if I don't say it, they will by all means know one or the other. So I had to tell them in a way that they will understand, and then in their, small way, give me the necessary support that they could give. And so it was very frightening initially for all of us. And this thing I'm saying is all money.
Yes, I was about to go there to say that, I know how these scans and these, difference, and even chemo, all of that is not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Financially, how did you support yourself?
So support from my husband, a cousin of mine, and then my mother. But I must say, my mother wasn't in the know initially. She knew I had something in my breast. And then I told her I had the lump removed, so it was nothing. So that was all she knew. So when I had to go to Koloba, I told her that, oh, they said because of the previous surgeries I've had.
Her to be
No. She would start mourning me before if I would die, I would die. And I felt she had,
she had endured enough.
And...
So at what stage did you eventually tell her?
That was when I had to go for the mastectomy. At that moment, my faith was really, really tested at that time. My faith, because all this while I had remained strong, I had remained hopeful, and then this coming in, I'm like, so is it like this journey is never going to end? Just when you think you are there and there's something positive showing up, and then another thing. So I was really, really broken down. So I needed, everybody around me, to step in, especially the spiritual. I'm a spiritual, that kind of thing. So I needed that prayers and the intercession, hoping that the Lord will have some level of mercy on me.
I'm happy that you did not only limit the treatment to prayers, because most of the complaints in the hospitals will be someone will be diagnosed. The person would say that they can pray, they can, initially when you say you can put oil, they can do some herbal, and then by the time they get back to the hospital, nothing can be done about it. Yeah. But in your case, you went through the process hoping that, and having faith that God will help you. Yeah. And as we talk now, you say you are off all drugs for...
No, I'm not off all drugs. So after the mastectomy, then I had the radiotherapy.
Okay.
So after the radiotherapy, I was put on a 5-year pill. Oh. That is a hormonal therapy, because the kind of cancer I was treated for tested positive to the hormone receptors. So the estrogen and the progesterone. So with that, I had to be on that drug for 5 years, a daily pill for 5 years. So in essence, it reduces the chances of recurrence.
It's recurring, yes. Yeah. So where we come from, we don't talk about what happens to us. Like someone could be sick, like you can see, or sometimes you can even see a boil and ask the person, oh, is this a boil? The person will, oh, it's a pimple. We like to remain private, but here you are talking about your journey, freely sharing with us. What was your motivation to come out to share? Okay,
so when I was going through treatment, there were various stages that fear overwhelmed me, the uncertainties as to what could happen. And is it truly going to work? You ask yourself all those questions. Yeah, you are undergoing the treatment, but there's no guarantee. So I actually looked out for a survivor.
Okay.
To look up to draw strength and hope from. I didn't get any.
Wow.
I didn't get any. So I told myself that should the Lord help me for me to survive, I'll be that person that I looked out for others. I'll be there. I'll make myself available.
So at what stage did you start your advocacy work?
After my the second surgery.
In what year, please?
2019.
When you had gone through the surgery and knew that everything was, then you started the...
Not that I was even sure that I was okay. But then I knew I didn't know what was going to, because my journey had been full of unexpected outcomes and all that.
So you were still not certain that...
So I was not certain of what was going. After that surgery, I was supposed to start the radiotherapy. I don't know what would happen after that, but then I was hopeful. I tried to be positive. But then I told myself that the little, even if, for whatever may happen, once I have the strength, I can talk, I can move, I'll make myself available to strengthen somebody out there, because at least I had not finished, but then I am ahead of someone who may
you have started.
Exactly.
So you can help.
So for someone who is yet to start chemo, someone who is yet to go for surgery, I could be of support to that person. So I started volunteering at the surgical unit.
Oh, right at where you had your treatment.
Exactly.
How has your advocacy journey been?
It has the highs and the lows. The highs are when you are able to encourage and give somebody hope, because often when they are diagnosed, it's not easy. Some people even the person is going to Carnation, but may take a car that is
different turn.
You know, so my presence always makes that difference. They don't believe it when they are told. I'm usually with a clinical psychologist. So they don't believe it when they are told that I've sat in the chair they are sitting before.
So do you sometimes have to show it to them?
Yeah, I do often. So I'm always dressed like this so that I can easily
raise your top,
my top up to show the scar. That is when they believe, and it has been very, very impactful. So people get to, I mean,
like
more
losing
hopeful,
up and then more
losing
hopeful
up, and I mean, I do follow up on them, and they count on me. Okay, going through, they count on me, and the lows will be when perhaps somebody comes maybe too late, and
you realize
I mean, it's just too late. But then there's this hope. You pray, you hope along with the person dies eventually. Sometimes it gets very, very.
I know you work with the Breast Cancer Society of Ghana.
Yeah.
What exactly do you do with them?
So I'm the current executive secretary.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then what do you do? Do you also work for the society in hospitals as well?
Yes, please. As a patient navigator.
Patient navigator. What does that mean?
In that, I started as a face of survivorship. That was when I was volunteering. So I want to believe when they realized the impact I was having. Okay, they decided to now bring me in. So I'm not working for Kolebu, but the Breast Society of Ghana realized that no, then they have to equip me, empower me, so that because I go on clinic days, but I go only when I have.
When you have the means.
The means, yes. Okay. So they try to formalize it. So as a patient navigator, I try to explain like the roadmap to the patient in a layman's term. Okay, and because I have gone through it before, I'm able to relate with them. And the things, the concerns and fears they are unable to share or express with the medical people, they are able to confide in me. Okay, and I also do follow-up calls on them. Some of them, you realize that they missed their appointment, so you want to know why. So mine is to call to remind them. If the person doesn't show up, I have to call as many as I can, because these are like 100, 200, 500 people, but I try to call as many as I can, just to understand why maybe the person couldn't. And mostly it is money, finances. Some, maybe they've just dreamt and they are convinced that it's spiritual.
It's spiritual, so they have to look for a fear or a spiritualist for them.
Yeah.
So aside the Breast Cancer Society of Ghana, you do personal advocacy as well. What's your foundation and what do you do? Okay,
so I founded the Flames of Hope Foundation in 2019. There is something I actually planned to do with 2 other people that I started treatment with, but unfortunately they died.
Oh, were they young? Or
very, very young. Very, very, very young.
How old? What was the
one was 32 years. One was 38.
Wow.
Yeah, they were very young. And we started a support group initially, and then we planned that once we're out of treatment, we would make it like something very formal so that we could solicit for funds here and there to help others who are struggling financially through the journey, but they died. So I was sort of inspired to do this in honor of their memory, to continue the fight on their behalf. And I know wherever they are, they'll be proud that I did not.
How is it going?
So yeah, basically I do outreaches. I go to churches, sometimes upon invitation, or sometimes I go myself, and corporate organizations. But what I'm really embarking on now is like a project I have given myself to do, that any woman that goes to the theater, before that person comes, but there should be something by the person's or on the person's bed waiting for her to put in there, something dignifying that the person can put in there, so the person will be spared the worry of how am I going to. Yes.
Okay.
So the silicone is an alternative, but it's expensive.
Yes.
Not
many people can afford.
There are some people who qualify and can afford the reconstruction, but not majority of us cannot afford it. And for some people, it's just not advisable, medically advisable for them to do it because of perhaps the nature of their cancer. Okay, so something has to be put in there. And that has been the worry of most of us, because I mean, you are back home and now it's like a new life. I mean, you have lived with 2 breasts all your life,
Now
and then
there's
suddenly one is
one.
gone, and now you are looking for something to put in there. You are trying to balance it, trying to appear in a way that nobody will just see you and know that something is wrong in there. And it actually affects the confidence and self-esteem of individuals. So that is what I intend resolving. So I embarked on this project to sew something beautiful that will look like the silicone that we cannot afford, that we can always put in there.
Okay, so it's a sewn.
It's sewn.
Oh, okay.
I can remove it if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't. I would really want to see
Okay.
it. I would really want to see it, if you don't mind. Okay.
Okay, so this is it. There's nothing here. If you see, this is my lawyer.
What can I touch it?
Oh, sure, you can.
What material is this made of?
So this nylon, like yeah,
Oh,
lycra.
okay,
It's like
okay.
lycra because it stretches and it's
I
comfortable.
see, brave and beautiful.
Yeah, brave and beautiful. So the idea is you wake up, you want to pick this and put in there. See this and always remember that despite everything, you are brave and you are still beautiful.
Wow, this is because I know the silicone one that you talk about,
Yeah.
but most of them can't afford it. But
Yeah.
so you do this and distribute
Yeah.
to them for.
Yeah.
Wow, God bless you.
Yeah.
This is.
So I was using the allowance the Breast Society of Ghana used to give me as a patient navigator. That's what I was using because the disease affected the work I was doing.
Okay. Okay.
So
Before then, what work was?
I had a school, my own school that I was managing with my husband. So the school was like 4 years then. So it was having some little challenges already that needed me badly to be able to be there to resolve. That was when this thing also came in. And because of the effect the chemotherapy was having on me, and then I had to go back into theater and back and all that. So I had to, leave the scene for somebody to take over because my husband was also not available. Okay, and it really affected us so much that by the time, I was back on my feet, 2019 after the second surgery and then my radiotherapy that I wanted to come back, that was when COVID also came. So after the COVID, well, the school was still in existence. We ensured our first batch, those who were in JHS3 wrote the exams. Then we do a SWOT analysis of, what was happening because it will mean we needed more money to pump because a lot of damage had been caused.
You've used most of your
the
personal
money
funds for this treatment.
We just decided to close it down temporarily, and then.
Wow, you are such a survivor. You are like a fighter. You are a fighter. God bless you for all you do. This month, what are you doing? I know there's more. If we want, your journey is like a full book, but this month, what are you doing? And even post this month, I don't like the idea that we only do pink in October and post October. Everyone goes silent as if breast cancer only comes in October. What are you doing from now and then beyond?
Okay, so within this month, I've made myself available. Any media engagement, if we can't get any survivor, I'm always there. And then the churches are calling on me, other corporate organizations. And then I'm also supporting the society in my capacity to also do what the society has planned. We are doing a lot of screening across the country. And I also intend giving out some of this. Like I have over 1,000 of them that I intend giving out. Not
if someone
to only
wants
those
to support you, because it will take you money to. If someone wants to support you, how can the person reach you for support?
Okay, so can I share my contact?
You can. Please
do.
do.
050 600 7999.
Are you on any social media platform?
I'm there, but not very active.
Not very active. Maybe you should.
Because I like going directly to the people had been my focus for now. But I know moving on, I'll try to make myself more visible. Social media wise.
So if there is anything, we'll share more of Gina's story in the mirror. So make sure you grab a copy. But before we go or before we end this video, if there's something you'd want to tell any woman who some people haven't even screened before. Some of them, they would say they know how to do it, like touching them. But I know that you need, even though self-examination is very important, you also need to screen like with a professional as well to also know. What would you say to women watching us, young and old?
Okay, thank you. So there was a time before I was diagnosed, that I never knew breast cancer would become part of the story of my life. I never paid attention to anything regarding breast cancer because I thought I was too young. I was 30 years then. The day I had my breast removed, there was a 17-year-old girl that was in theater with me. This should tell us that breast cancer is not a respecter of age again. Whether the breast is small, whether it's big, whether you are pregnant, whether you are you just finished weaning your, whether you are old and already about dying. How can we prevent this? There's no known cause. So our sure bet of prevention is early detection. How can we achieve that? That is when we get breast aware. How do we get breast aware? I would like to encourage all of us as women, at least once every month after our menses, let's try to examine the breast and look out for any abnormality. That is only when you can know. If your case should be different from mine, where there is no pain, you will miss it. When the breast, the disease is detected in time, you are likely to be saved. But if it is detected late, there's nothing clinically that can be done for you. So early detection, that is why I would want all of us to encourage ourselves and other women to be breast aware. This is not like I'm a child of God. I have said that before. Let's all be breast aware. The things we are told to do to help in prevention is to live healthy lives. Our diet, exercise, live actively. If we give birth, we are encouraged to breastfeed once you don't have any medical condition. And then if you know that you have a strong family history, you should even take it even more serious. But interestingly, for many of us who have had a disease, all the risk factors that we know did not apply to us. I gave birth early. I breastfed all my 4 children. I was not obese. I was not eaten by heart, but I still had breast cancer. So this should mean we are all just at risk once you are a woman. So it means that perhaps I had breast cancer only because I'm a woman. So it means every woman is at risk. It's my prayer. It was my prayer that I should be the last person. But my going to Kolebu every day, I see every clinic, the new cases are coming. So it tells us that the cases are increasing. So let's all get involved. Let's get the fact. There are so many myths out there. It is spiritual. Somebody sold it to you. Let's get the fact. Breast cancer is a clinical disease. Once it has appeared physically, if you know somebody or it is you that is diagnosed, please get treatment in the hospital whilst you tackle, the spiritual side with prayers.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for sharing. We are so grateful. We thank you for opening up and for using yourself as an example and then being a voice to breast cancer. We are so grateful.
Thank you.
This has been the profile segment on the Mirror. Remember to grab a copy of the Mirror paper itself because we are putting more information about Gina's journey. Also, you can share your breast cancer story with us. If it's a story of yourself as a survivor, we'll be happy to share as well. If it's of yourself and maybe you being a relative of someone who has gone through it, just follow us on Facebook and Instagram, The Mirror GH on Instagram, and then Facebook. We are on Facebook as The Mirror. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Efia Kese.
For more news, visit graphic.com.gh or log on to Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube at Graphic GH.
Subscribe now.